just talking through the video. I just did this without the video on. This is just the math that goes to the problem that we started at the end of the last video. So I should be able to visually, in about 3 seconds, look at that and see if there's a giant issue in my math by doing what? Making sure they do what? Add to 100. Like I said, you'd be surprised how many people miss a point on a test because they have like 96 and 16 and they just don't take a half second to look at it and be like, that's not right. So I've got all my different percents. Each group adds up to 100. So now I'm ready to make my graph. So with my graph, now that I have both variables, I'm going to be definitely making a what kind of graph? Segmented bar graph. So I'm going to go back to connecting here for colors, just as far as making y'all understand. Like, yeah, I don't have to do colors, I don't care. So the one that may influence, my mother's diabetic may influence. I'm doing it separately for each mother's diabetic status. So where do I want to put that on my graph? Where? I've got 2 places where I put variables here.
You want to put like non-diabetic, pre-diabetic, and diabetic on the bottom.
Okay, so mother's diabetic status is going to go down here. So it's always the case, and this is why I say I'm a color person, so that y'all can see the connections. Whatever is the one that influences is the one that you're doing it separately for, which means it goes on the bottom. So we have non-diabetic, pre-diabetic, and diabetic. I should have better spaced this out. My y-axis. Percentage. What do I know about my y-axis for percentages this time?
It's going to go to 100.
It has to go to 100. Do your spacing well. And also, as far as like colors, you can't use colors at all on the AP exam, but if you use colors on like my test, then I don't care. So I know that each one of those is going to go up to 100. I need to make sure that they are equal width. Now what? So it does not matter which one I put on the bottom, which one I put on the top. Remember, stay consistent after that. And I don't care either way. But let's say I go with the big number on the bottom, just because I did it opposite yesterday. So 96. Wait, something. Let's be a little smart here. Which one would be easier to color in? Does it really matter which one you colored in? No. But do you want to spend your time by coloring something in? No. So make it easier on yourself. So now, at that point, I'm going to go ahead and make my key. What should the label of my key be? What? And so this is my color thing to myself, because it's the one that might be influenced. And then the squiggly one is going to be what? Or did I do that opposite?
Yeah.
One is the shade.
because I flipped it with what I had on the paper just to show you that it didn't matter which one's on top or bottom. I probably should have done that to confuse you. So then pre-diabetic, I have 96.53. What was this one?
96 point
What's
something lower.
What's this one?
It's
So
a-
it'd be
it's
96
like
point
a
oh
flat.
five barely,
Oh, okay.
less than half a percent.
I probably shouldn't have been doing freehanding a straight line. It works a lot better if you use your ID. Is that straight?
And the other one's 80.85.
And now the only thing I need is
Conclusion.
title and conclusion. Again, I don't care if you write segmented bar graph of, but I think it's helpful for you to know what it is that you're making. I could either say conditional distribution of this for this, or I could do like context and say, what did the question actually ask us?
Relationship between mother and diabetic.
So whichever way you want to choose to do that would be fine. I'm going to write it as conditional just because this would be more helpful. It's more writing, but it might be more helpful to somebody. But writing relationship between birth defects and mother's diabetic status is fine. So questions on any part of the process for conditional all the way through the graphs. Terrible on my part that the two examples we've done are both only, like where it says birth defects, that I only have 2 options. Could I have more options than that? I could have 7 options. I could have 2 bars and 4 sections for each bar. None of that matters with numbers. It's all just the context of which one influences the other one. If you get into something, and obviously don't draw this, if you get into something where you're into more than this, make it easy on yourself and do something like, I can definitely tell the difference between those and don't take long to do it. If you try to draw vertical lines, it gets kind of confusing about where the line is and where that is. Vertical are fine. You can do squigglies or swirls. I don't care, but don't sit there and like color it in all the way because it just takes too much time. So our conclusion here. What do we need to do in our conclusion? Compare, context, and numbers. What are things that would be examples of our context here? What are words that are examples for context?
Non-diabetic.
Non-diabetic, diabetic, pre-diabetic. What else?
Non-hormone.
What else?
Mother.
Mother's diabetic status, birth defects. What are examples of what numbers are we going to use? Which numbers are we going to use? The percentages that we had. In this problem, it's only 2 sections for each, right? So do I need to compare all of these and compare all of these? Which is actually what we came back to here. No, we didn't get to that problem on that one. Now, if there were 3 sections, we would need to bring them all in. But here it's either it is or it isn't. So you don't need to discuss compare it is versus compare it isn't. Because that's what's left. Take about 2 minutes and start writing things that you think would be good as a conclusion, including those 3 things. And don't expect many people to be great at this yet, but you should be getting closer based off of our progression throughout class. And some of you might have already started writing your compare earlier. That's good. Now these can get really long really quick when we have a couple sections. We only have 3 sections here, and we only have it split into 2 for each. It's not terrible.
Teachers, please pardon the interruption. At this time, if any student that is a senior, junior, or sophomore that has not received their Chromebook, please send them to the Media Center. That's any 10th, 11th, or 12th grader that has not received their Chromebook, please send them to the Media Center at this time. Thank you.
Is that anybody? All right, so I'm going to start talking. I'm going to start talking about your answers before I write anything down. Again, you could compare either 1 plus or none. Does it matter which one you choose? No. Let's say I'm going to choose to do none. And if you did yours the opposite way, you can still read it to me. It doesn't really matter. What do I notice about any of the 3 separate for one of them? For either 1 plus or none. We've got non-diabetic, pre-diabetic, diabetic. Very generally, without context, tell me 2 of them you're going to compare and what they are.
Well, the non-diabetic and pre-diabetic are similar.
Okay, so let's start there then. So non-diabetic and pre-diabetic have similar percentages of birth defects at number and number respectively. Let's go ahead and let's actually go ahead and I'm gonna start that. And y'all don't have to rewrite what I write. Non-diabetic. I need to do a little bit more context there. Non-diabetic and pre-diabetic what? What did I say from there? Have what?
Percentages.
If I say similar birth defects, I have an issue.
Similar percentages.
Why is percentages really, really, really important? And this comes back to what we've talked about 2 days in a row. Because what do non-diabetic and pre-diabetic not have? Similar totals. So we can't say they have about the same amount. We have to say percentages because it has to be adjusted. So non-diabetic and pre-diabetic mothers have similar percentages of babies with no birth defects. Usually when I do stuff like this, I make y'all tell me what to do. So if I say something wrong or you want to edit it, just tell me. Have with no birth defects, what should I put there? What are my numbers? So what's non-diabetic?
96.05.
Oh, word goes there.
Respectively.
Hopefully y'all know what that is. It means it goes the first one, then goes the second one. I could start another sentence, but then I'd have to bring them both back in again. I'm not an English teacher. And wow, same thing. What else do I need to put there?
Are less likely to or have lower percentages
Yeah, I think I like saying have lower percentages.
of babies with no birth defects.
And I could probably get by without saying, while diabetic mothers have lower percentages of babies with no birth defects, then I kind of would say then non-diabetic and pre-diabetic, but we just said that. Okay, and then tell me what to finish.
You said 80 point.
There's something that I can't really say here but I'm really close to being able to say it with this example. What if instead this was completely different context? One child, two children, first child, second child, neither. What could I say in that case, wording wise, here that would change a little bit or a little bit more specific? Don't think about my exact sentence. If I were doing this, saying that, what would you tell me happens with number of children and birth defect?
That's the more children you have, the more likely they are to have birth.
And we're really close to being able to say that here because non-diabetic, then you go to pre-diabetic.
You are.
And I wouldn't make you put that here because that's kind of weird. Like you are progressing, but it's not numerical. If it's something that's numerical, I definitely think that's something that you should add in there. But in this case, we're like really close to be able to say it, but not. So it might be the fact that the more diabetic you are, the more it increases your birth
So
defects.
if we did it the other way,
Then you would say
Would it-
equal,
would it be correct to say like
greater.
non and pre-diabetic mothers are less likely to give their children birth? Or
Yes,
their
but you
children are
need
less
to
likely-
include that they are similar.
Yes.
Yes, that would be fine with that. Yeah.
So would it be like acceptable language to say that children of diabetic mothers have a significantly lower or a higher chance of having one or more birth defects?
Yes, absolutely. But just make sure, like the same thing that she was doing, make sure you also say if you're not diabetic, it doesn't seem to change it much. But yes, that would have been absolutely. And I will tell you, I am not a writer at all. So I usually take what y'all say and try to write as little literally as I can. Your arguments are probably going to be developed better and have more appropriate English and stuff than my examples will be because I try to make mine really cut and dry. I want to go ahead and show you online stuff or how it's going to be. Did y'all get a notification yesterday that something about a Google Classroom? I just finally accepted it, so I figured it would happen that way. In Google Classroom, which you may or may not have accepted it yet, I think you're entered into it automatically because it's through PowerSchool. If not, I'll get you there. I will put information here if like you need a copy of something I need to give you or I want to do something electronically. But what I'm going to also do is have a daily schedule, which is kind of what I did last year, but I did it by a week.
Yes, I saw it yesterday.
And so this is going to be an ongoing document of everything for this chapter. So first day, I just put in-class activities. There's nothing I need to attach. So for yesterday, here's the printout that I gave you. It's a copy of it. I split yesterday's class into 2 videos. It should be written out descriptively enough to where you know it is what I'm talking about. And then here are the page numbers for the homework. If you ever walk out of class and you didn't see the page numbers, or like you leave early for something and you didn't get the homework, that's always going to be there. If you need to go back and rewatch the videos or you weren't here, that's where they're going to be. Anything that I include in class, I'll pretty much put in there. We'll adjust as we go, but this is just going to be an on-running one document for each chapter. I think that's going to be the easiest way to do it. I did it by week last year, and it got kind of too much. Thought there's one other thing I was going to say. Maybe not.